If you switched to plant-based protein because you thought it was the healthier choice, I have some bad news from the lab. Consumer Reports tested the most popular protein powders in America, and plant-based products contained, on average, 9 times more lead than whey. 9 times. The exact choice millions of people made to be healthier is the one that loaded their daily shake with the most lead. This isn't about one bad brand, it's about the entire category. By the end of this video, you'll know why plant protein is structurally worse, which specific products failed, and the plant-based powder that actually passed, because there is one. Let's get into it. Plant-based protein is the fastest growing part of a protein market that hit over $32 billion globally between 2024 and 2025. It's marketed with every word that signals health: clean, organic, plant-powered, cruelty-free. Here's the biochemistry nobody puts on the label. Plants are bio-accumulators. As they grow, their roots pull minerals out of the soil, including heavy metals like lead and cadmium. Pea protein, rice protein, hemp, the raw materials for almost every plant powder, concentrate whatever was in the ground they grew in. Whey is different. It comes from cow's milk. It goes through a dairy processing chain that simply doesn't concentrate soil metals the same way. That's why, in Consumer Reports testing, dairy-based protein powders generally had the lowest lead levels of any category. So the pattern isn't random, it's built into where the protein comes from. But it's not that simple, because half the whey products failed too, and one dairy powder had a completely different heavy metal problem that's arguably worse. Stay for the plant-based powder that passed, and the one label check that beats every brand recommendation. Same standard as always on this channel. Published, independent lab data only. Consumer Reports tested 23 protein products over a 3-month period, including plant, whey, and beef-based powders, buying multiple lots of each anonymously from Amazon, Walmart, Whole Foods, and the Vitamin Shop. They measured lead, arsenic, cadmium, and total protein. Their safety threshold, 0.5 micrograms of lead per daily serving, is based on California's Proposition 65, the strictest standard in the country, because there are no federal limits for supplements at all. Then, they published a follow-up in January, testing 5 more reader-requested powders. Between the two reports, we have real numbers on specific products. Everything is linked below. Let's count down, starting with the category problem, then the specific failures, then the ones that passed. Let's start with the headline number and make it concrete. Consumer Reports found plant-based products averaged 9 times the lead of dairy-based ones, and twice as much as beef-based protein. The average lead concentration across the chocolate-flavored products they tested was 17.3 parts per billion. Vanilla came in at 15.4 parts per billion. Interestingly, and against what previous testing suggested, they found no meaningful difference between chocolate and vanilla this time, even though chocolate has historically been a heavy metal source. Here's the line from Consumer Reports that matters most. Nearly all the plant-based products they tested had elevated lead levels. Not some, nearly all. This is a category-wide pattern, not a few bad actors. And the lead researcher, Tunde Akinlai, said something that should stop you. The results were even worse than the last time they tested. The industry got bigger. The contamination didn't get better. Consumer Reports named 2 products as products to avoid, the 2 highest lead results in the entire test. Both plant-based: Naked Nutrition's Vegan Mass Gainer and Huel's Black Edition. Both exceeded Consumer Reports' level of concern by over 1,200%, more than 12 times the daily threshold in a single serving. Now, both companies pushed back, and this channel always gives you the other side. Naked Nutrition's argument: their vegan mass gainer is the only weight gainer in the test, with a 315-gram serving, about 6 scoops, versus the 30 to 50 grams typical of regular powders. On a per-gram basis, they say, their results are consistent with other plant proteins. That's a fair point about serving size. But notice what it concedes: per gram, it's consistent with other plant proteins, which is exactly the 9 times whey problem. And you don't drink it per gram, you drink the serving. Huel's argument, from their head of nutrition, is that the lead level is within internationally recognized safety limits and poses no health risk, and they test with accredited independent labs. Also worth hearing. But remember Huel's use case. People drink it as a meal replacement, multiple servings a day, every day. The exposure math is different when it's replacing food rather than topping up a workout. Below the 2 avoid products, 2 more plant-based powders landed at 400 to 600% of Consumer Reports threshold. Garden of Life Sport Organic Plant-Based and Momentous 100% Plant Protein. Consumer Reports experts recommend limiting products at that level to about once a week. Both companies responded. Momentous says all the products Consumer Reports tested have been discontinued. They did a full overhaul of their whey and plant proteins in 2024 to clean up sourcing, and they published their test results. Credit where due. That's the right response. Garden of Life told reporters all their products are tested for heavy metals and levels are below established food safety thresholds. Worth noting, they're using a different threshold than Consumer Reports' stricter Prop 65 based one. The lesson here is the organic trap again. Garden of Life. Sport is USDA organic certified, and it still landed in the 400 to 600% range. Organic controls pesticides and farming practices. It does nothing about lead in the soil. 2 completely different things, and only one is on the label. Here's where the story gets more honest than just buy whey, because whey isn't a free pass. First, Consumer Reports found that even among dairy-based powders, half still had lead levels high enough that their experts advise against daily use. Lower than plant, but not clean. Second, and more striking, one whey product had a completely different problem. Optimum Nutrition's serious mass. Whey protein powder contained 8.5 micrograms of inorganic arsenic per serving, twice the limit of what Consumer Reports' scientists say is safe to consume daily. Not lead. Arsenic. A whey product. And on the plant side, Vega's premium sport powder had enough cadmium that one serving would put you over the daily limit for that metal. So the real picture isn't plant bad, whey good. It's plant protein has a systematic lead problem from the soil. Whey has lower lead on average, but individual products can carry their own heavy metal surprises, and the only way to know is testing. Category tells you the odds. Testing tells you the truth. Now the part that matters if you don't want to give up plant protein. Because in the January follow-up test, there was good news. Consumer Reports tested 5 more reader-requested powders. Truvani's plant-based powder, made with pea protein, the same base as most of the failures, came in at 0.46 micrograms of lead per serving. That is 93% of Consumer Reports' level of concern. Under the threshold, a pea protein powder that passed. It shows the 9 times average isn't destiny. A plant brand that sources carefully in tests can come in under the line. Truvani did. The contrast, Ritual's essential protein, also pea-based, came in at 0.53 micrograms, 107% of the threshold, just over. Same protein source, different result. And notably, Ritual's CEO wrote to Congress calling plant protein a high-risk product, publishes heavy metal results for recent lots of each flavor, and advocated for the FDA to set actual limits. Even the product that just missed is run by people being transparent about the risk. That's the whole point. The brands worth trusting are the ones who admit the category is risky and show you the numbers. The ones who stay silent are the gamble. So how do you buy protein without playing heavy metal roulette? 3 rules, ending with the single label check that replaces every brand name, because brands change their sourcing, and last year's clean powder isn't guaranteed to be this year's. Rule 3. If lead is your main worry and you don't have a dietary reason to avoid dairy, default to whey. This isn't ideology, it's the data. Dairy-based powders average 9 times less lead than plant. The cleanest results in both Consumer Reports rounds were Whey. Clean, simple eats at 0.21 micrograms, equate Walmart's brand at 0.27, Premier Protein at 0.38. All Whey, all comfortably under the threshold. If you're plant-based by choice or necessity, that's completely valid. You just move to Rule 2 because you need to be pickier. Rule 2. If you're buying plant protein, only buy from a brand that publishes lot-specific heavy metal results. This is the single biggest divider between a safe plant powder and a risky one. Truvani passed. Ritual publishes results by lot, and its chief executive officer petitioned Congress for stricter rules. These are the brands treating the category's real risk seriously. The tell is simple. Can you find a certificate of analysis or published heavy metal numbers for the product you're about to buy? If yes, you can make an informed choice. If the brand shows you nothing, in a category where 9 times whey is the average, you're not buying protein, you're buying a mystery. And rule number 1, the check that beats every brand recommendation in this video. Look for third-party certification on the label, specifically NSF Certified for Sport or NSF Contents. Certified. Here's why this is the master key. NSF is an independent public health organization. To carry their seal, a product's batches are screened against defined contaminant standards, including heavy metals, by someone other than the company selling it. Consumer Reports' own advice at the end of their investigation was exactly this. Check whether the company does its own heavy metal testing and publishes results, choose products with the lowest lead, and look for NSF certification on the label. So the 10-second version for any protein powder, plant or whey. NSF seal on the label. Published heavy metal test results you can actually find. And when in doubt between 2 similar products, dairy over plant. Do those 3 things, and you've filtered out almost every product that failed in this video. One honest caveat, same as always. No protein powder is truly zero. Lead exists in soil and water, and achieving zero exposure is impossible. The goal isn't panic. Consumer Reports themselves say there's no reason to panic if you've used these products, and most are fine occasionally. The goal is, if you're drinking this every single day, make it a tested one. Quick recap. Plant protein averages 9 times the lead of whey. It's structural from the soil. The 2 avoid products, Naked Vegan, Mass Gainer, and Huel Black Edition, both plant, both over 1,200% of the threshold. But whey isn't automatic safety. Optimum Nutrition's Serious Mass had double the arsenic limit, and plant protein can be done right. Truvani passed. The fix. NSF seal, published testing, Dairy over plant when in doubt. Everything is linked below. Both Consumer Reports investigations, the NPR and CBS reporting. Read the data yourself. That's the whole point of this channel.